Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We'll begin in a seated position. We'll do our chant first as usual, but we're going to go straight into some pranayama and then we'll come into the rest of our session. So just setting yourself up for pranayama. If you need a tissue to blow your nose or need to get settled in a certain way to facilitate deeper breath, then go for that. Find your adjustments that you need. And then when you're ready, just getting into comfort and adjustment in terms of your legs, your hips. And it's interesting when we are setting ourselves up for a particular context. Obviously, we're ready and waiting for our meditation practice. So there are certain environmental things that we need to get right for that. And then suddenly when we're informed that we're going to do some pranayama, there can be a shift in the mind, or maybe there's some extra things you need to bring into your awareness to support the lung structures. So even the smallest additional bit of information can make us aware that we're so brilliantly adaptable. Unexpected things happening, good or bad, doesn't matter. We're able to kind of spiral our way around so that we can get into them. And this brings us into the psychological aspect of things also. How we think, the thought processes involved in problem solving and preparation for what's to come, even though we never truly know what's to come. And from a spiritual perspective, this means that we are already present. We often speak about distraction in the mind as taking us away from the present moment. Excuse me. But actually, we're always not only present, but presence itself. The spirit, the soul, the higher consciousness is always present. So we don't need to go down the roads of thinking we're not. And that said, it's always our thinking that leads us to believe that we're not. It's the part of us that is deeper than thinking that always is present. So we're there, we're already here, here and there. So culturally, we're encouraged to really celebrate the mind, and that is excellent. We have excellent minds. But what has happened is that we have become identified with just the mind, and we tend to believe all of the thoughts and all of the distractions. So our meditation practice just encourages us to witness the mind, and in doing so, we can just observe without becoming too defined by the mind. So we can observe that which we once defined ourselves as, rather than just believing every thought that pops in. We can experience and practice presence so that we see those thoughts just coming across our field of vision. And the little obstacle that we might bump into occasionally in the spiritual practices is that we are trying to describe our path using words and constructs from the mind. In other words, we're trying to describe something that is beyond cognitive and intellectual understanding with cognition and intellect. So sometimes it can become convoluted. It's kind of like trying to describe a color with numbers. We have to go through so many processes to find the logic of it that we often lose the subtle beauty. So while we feel we need our thinking minds to get the measure of something, to understand something, it is also important to deeply know that there is something far more infinite underneath that. So just letting the stuff that comes up come up. And witnessing it all. I'm going to take the palms together into Anjali Mudra. And taking a breath in. Yogena Chittasya Adena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Chavaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaramuninam Atanjalim Ranjali Ranatosmi. Good, and blinking the eyes open, taking the hands down. So we're just going to start with a variation of Viloma, which is the breath against the grain. So we're going to divide up our inhale. Instead of letting it flow with the grain, we're dividing it up into 3. Then we'll have a little bit of kumbhaka, a little bit of Antar Kumbhaka, holding the breath in. And then we'll bring a real slow, controlled, regulated vibration into the exhale. So the exhale will be uninterrupted. We're not dividing the exhale, but we are very, very consciously, purposefully making it very, very slow. So that might mean that you add ujjayi, so a slight contraction to the throat on the exhale. It might be that you close your teeth and that you hiss the sound out through open lips. So whatever allows you to make your exhale as slow as possible, that's what we're going to do. So finding a mudra that's supportive to your pranayama practice. So mudras are all about regulated energy flow. I like Jnana Mudra, but if you prefer, Yoni Mudra, Shiva Mudra, whatever suits you best, or even Anjali Mudra, and just finding what's comfortable for you today, knowing that it could be different from yesterday's practice. Eyes can be open or closed, whatever suits you best. So just to prepare, we'll take a normal breath in and a normal breath out, whatever normal means to you. Then we'll inhale through the nose, just 1/3 of our usual inhale. And then your second third. And then your third third. And hold the breath in at the top. And then exhale as slowly as you can in whatever method suits you to really slow the exhale down. Try to make the exhale last as long as possible. And then when you're ready, inhale your first third, second, third, hold, and slow, slow exhale. And we continue on. Keep going with it. Imagine your exhale is as if you are letting the air very, very slowly out of a balloon, very controlled, only tiny, tiny amounts coming out, but in a smooth flow. And continue on at your own pace. So this is just complex enough that it keeps us focused, but easy enough to do pretty much any time of your day. Keep practicing as I describe. It is a means through which we can drop into a more regulated place in the larger mind-body system. And it helps us to access the parasympathetic nervous system, which is about healing, resting, digesting, good communication. So a more relaxed attitude. It's not a sedative. It's not meant to make you fall asleep necessarily. It can be a precursor to sleep. But it's more about just being in a calmer, more grounded yin place. And it is perfect as a prep for meditation. If you're in a frantic place, if you're overstressed in your mind or body, this is a great medicinal method also to calm you down. And there's only really a chance to find clarity when there is calm first. Otherwise, it's too chaotic to wade through. So this can be something you practice all the time as your homework, as a self-care method. We'll do a few more rounds of this. As we have a practice of any pranayama, it's important every couple of minutes or so just to check in with the state of the body. Are you sitting in a posture that is supporting the optimal levels of high standards in your breathing? Are you upright in the spine and open in the chest? And so you can make any adjustments there to your posture if you need to. Just checking in like that all the time, because pranayama is so much more efficacious as a medicine if we are organizing the body-mind system in such a way as to receive it. If we're hunched or compressed, obviously there's a hindrance to the flow. Let's do one more round together. So the next time you've completed your exhale, we'll do one more full round. Don't rush your process, just be in the pace that you need to be in. And when you're ready, coming back to normal breath, normal for you. Notice how you're feeling in yourself. You can take that instruction as a general instruction and or as a specific instruction in terms of what we've just practiced. It's important to notice how we feel so that we can learn how to fully accept that. I think a lot of our problems come from rejecting how we feel. And I have learned that if we don't fully and honestly embrace how we feel from moment to moment, we can experience a multiplication of negativity or pain. Rejection of how we feel, a lack of authenticity around our inner space, only leads to something worse later. So we can use our yoga practices as a very safe, secure place where we can explore that. So if we're feeling joyful in the body, if we're feeling painful in the body, if we're feeling confused, we just have a practice of fully accepting that in the moment. Don't reject it. It's that old adage of sweeping something under the carpet. It's going to come out later in some way. It'll rear its head somewhere at the other end of the carpet. So we must accept so that we can process. And again, we're coming from that vantage point that I described at the beginning before our chant of witness, observer. as an offshoot of that, if we don't fully accept how we feel in each moment, if we reject ourselves or reject our feelings, it is much more likely that we don't accept others and that we reject them in some way. So in my own studies, my own Swadhyaya self-study, I've been asking myself the question lately, do you mean to contradict or do you mean to understand? Hopefully that is helpful to you. So you can use it in the context of yourself or your relationships with others. Do you mean to contradict, in brackets, reject, polarize? Or do you mean to understand, in brackets, accept, have compassion for, stay open to, and learn from? I think this stuff is quite big, so we'll just sit with that for a few moments before we go on. Observe now all the thoughts that are coming up, all the feelings in the body. Observe your breath, observe that you are present. The observer itself is presence. And so when we enter into any practice of self-improvement, it's vital to recognize that that doesn't mean we are rejecting ourselves in this moment. The fact that we are interested in learning deeper wisdom and self-improvement doesn't mean that we're coming from a place of less than. So there are patterns chiseled into the marble. There are grooves and habits that we've created, both consciously and unconsciously. We tend to get stuck in those grooves and we define ourselves by this gravitational pull into those rehearsed pathways. So we're not trying necessarily to get rid of those pathways. We acknowledge that they are part of the sculpture of who we are thus far. That said, we can balance and we can make the sculpture more interesting. For every rehearsed pathway, good or bad, doesn't matter, we can make infinitely new ones all the time. And thanks to our practice, we can create those extra beautiful grooves from a deeply awakened place. The tendency now with that information might be for some chitta vrittis, some mental fluctuations, some little thoughts of, oh, I can't. I don't have the power. I don't have the strength. But actually you can. It's you. There is choice. We are present. We are simply witnessing the mind and all its attempts to time travel or to reject. The thoughts are often not reality at all. The thoughts are just distracting us from the realization of the fact that we are present. Us, in this time, now, there's no disputing that we are present. So the thoughts that come up are just attempts to divert our attention. We don't have to give them any gravity. Let's sit with this for a while. So we'll bring in a little gentle movement just to allow the prana, the life force energy, to flow in a regulated way. If this is your first trip to the mat today, just take it nice and easy. If you've already encountered your movement practice, then you can go a little deeper with the stretches. So just blinking the eyes open, we'll interlace the fingers. Take an exhale to push, very mindfully push forwards through the palms, and inhale to come up with the arms. And then we're just going to rotate through the rib cage as if we're cleaning a barrel from the inside with the ribs, keeping the arms as straight as possible. If you can have the upper arms by the ears, then do, with the elbows straight. If not, you can bring the arms forwards so that you can facilitate extension there in the arms. So whatever suits you. Maybe you can take the arms back if you're a bit more mobile today. And then we'll reverse the circle, keeping the sit bones equally weighted, kind of a samasthiti, like an equal footing, except for your sit bones. Maintaining good strength in the upper arm muscles to keep us straight in the elbows. I don't know if my mic is picking up the cracks there, but if you're feeling little cracks and pops as well, that's okay. You're just mobilizing. It's good. Exhale, taking the arms down. And then from there, we'll take an inhale, reach the arms up, this time in an open chain, not closed, and have the arms straight again, but have the palms facing the back of the room. Squeeze the shoulder blades down, keep the breath deep, and then really work into extension through the digits. On your next inhale, we're going to turn the arms so the palms face out, away from each other. And you can just exaggerate that spiral action through the forearms by pushing your thumbs away from each other. From there, keeping your right arm as it is, I'll be your mirror, taking your left hand down and push into the ground with your left hand so that your right sit bone stays heavy. And we come into lateral flexion, side bending. Just have your drishti forwards. Squeeze your shoulder blades down the back, elbows are straight. Leaning back slightly and kind of spit your left leg out to the side. Dorsiflex the left foot and maintain your side bend there. Turn to face your left leg, take your right hand down and a gentle twist. Maintain length in your spine so you can translate that as the chest staying high. The object isn't to take your head to the left leg or anything, just in gentle rotation. And then slowly bring yourself back to the center. And then you can reverse the cross of your legs. Doesn't matter which leg is forwards first. And then from there, we'll interlace the fingers in the opposite way. So you bring one digit of every finger down one, so the weave is different. And then exhale, push strongly through the palms, lifting the arms up, really extending through the elbows as best you can. Maintaining a position in the arms so that that extension can remain true. And we'll circle. So depending on how your body moves, you might have to bring extra attention to certain areas. So for me, it's foundation. I'm being very mindful about maintaining the base of the pelvis as a steady, even force that connects me to the ground, and I'm moving from that foundation. For you, it might be the same, or it might be that you have to work on straightening the elbows more, dropping the shoulders more, whatever is your practice. And then we reverse the circle. It's always helpful, particularly for the movement practice, to have a little bit more awareness around Mula Bandha, so the energy lock of lift in the pelvic floor, just to infuse us with that support network internally and the awareness, of course. Good, and then we release down, then taking the arms out in front and start to lift the arms in the open chain, so we're not connecting them this time, palms facing back behind us. Now, much like the facilitation of the pranic forces that we were practicing earlier, the pranayama, making our lungs more receptive to the breath, ensure that you are as upright and supportive of yourself as you were for the pranayama practice, so that you can really receive the extra energy and flow coming from your breath. And then we're turning the arms from the source of the shoulders, so the palms face out, and then let your thumbs come away from each other. So there's this lovely spiral, surrounding spiral action in the musculature of the arms. Letting the right hand come down. Push strongly into the right hand. You can be flat-handed or up on the fingertips, so that you can get more weight into the left sit bone. Just let your drishti be forwards, experiencing the lateral flexion or side bending action without any stress on the neck. Keep the shoulder blades down to support that relaxation of the neck structure. Breathing. Keeping the side bend, spitting that right leg out to the side, dorsiflex the foot. And then we turn to face that right leg, taking the left hand down. And again, maintaining this lovely length in the front body. And then slowly we come back up. So you can find the cross-legged position that suits you best. And then finding your mudra again. Closing the eyes down, or if you ever choose to meditate with eyes open, that's fine too. Just making sure that the gaze is soft. You're not fixating on anything. There's a kind of light attention. You're looking at something as if you yourself were the ocean, rather than googly eyes. So just making sure that whether you've chosen to open or close your eyelids, that there's a vastness. You're allowing yourself to drop into that infinite space that you are, and you're observing from there. Again, can be convoluted to put that in words, but just trust that underneath, the higher consciousness, the soul, the spirit understands this deeply. Even if the cognitive mind or the ego are grappling with the concepts, the presence beneath already grasps it. No problem. Notice the breath and take up space in the body you've been given. Now that we've moved and stretched, let yourself live in your body. Feel the energy flow of that living being. We're so close to our physical selves because we live in this body, in these bodies. So it makes complete and logical sense. This is something that the thinking mind has no problem with. It makes complete sense to observe this being, the one we're in, because we're so close to it. Realize that we are in the present. We might think we are somewhere else, but that doesn't matter. We are present. We are here. So just see all thoughts as they are, merely thoughts. And don't block yourself from the realization that you are present and you are presence itself. Don't let your distractions lead you down that road to thinking anything else. Invite yourself to always step back to observe, to witness. Step back, observe, witness. We're not rejecting anything. We are the facilitators. We are the awarenesses that hold space for full acceptance of how the body-mind is feeling. So we might witness those rehearsed pathways, the little grooves and habits of this particular embodied being. We might witness perceived threats, worries in the realm of survival, past traumas. We might witness narratives of unworthiness, I'm not good enough, or undeservedness. We might witness that our analytical minds are looking for things rather than seeing them. Different parts of the brain can seem as if they're disconnected when we are in heightened states or indeed chronic states of tension and stress. So the worried mind will look for the black spot on the white page, even if it's not there. From this witness place, we might observe mistrust, mistrust of self and mistrust of others. We might witness a sense of controlling, trying to puppeteer life, a resistance to the natural flow of things. We might witness grasping, hanging on to something that we think defines us, or indeed holding on for dear life to something that we are unable to let go of, good or bad, doesn't matter. We might witness, and this is a big one for a lot of us, I think, assumptions. How we assume something is going, or how we assume somebody else's thoughts to be. How we assume our tiny brains might know something. Based on past experience or our perception of the knowledge we have. We might be observing a sense of regret, trying to backpedal and time bind and make something that has passed right when it's utterly impossible, and the sorrow that comes with that. If we're able to be very objective in our witness consciousness, we might sense delusion. How the little stories that we have spun are not true. We might be aware of a feeling of disconnection from spirit, disconnection from community, disconnection from love. And as we sit with the witnessing of all of these phenomena, we have a feeling of our ability to accept it all. We deeply know that we have the option to embrace all of the perceived imperfections of this human being, with grace and, of course, with love. Be that big that you can wrap your arms around all of it. We'll sit and breathe with this now. Now let your breath become slower. It doesn't necessarily have to be deeper, just slower. A soft, long flow of in and out. On your next slow, smooth exhale, slowly and smoothly bring your hands together into Anjali Mudra. And in loving comfort and perfect balance with our highest selves, we chant for peace. Take a long, slow, smooth inhale. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Om. Taking all we learn from our practice and bringing it into our hearts. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.